Chat, what the fuck is up? BTL episode 128 piece. We got my guy Jovan back up in this bitch. Jovan, what's up, man? Long time no see. How we doing?
Yeah, doing great. Vibes are high. We got through yesterday with all the presentations and stuff, which were kind of weighing down for a couple weeks now. So they're feeling great. Excited.
Good. Well, what's today? Today's Wednesday. You've got Thursday, Friday. You've got about 3 more days of happiness until Saturday. Not gonna tread too much on that, but you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, I mean, you can put it down all you want. You're gonna be in piss.
Dude, I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited to just see the pain just overcome the squad when TCU loses on Saturday. And I just get to sit there in the corner with just the worst sports teams ever as a VT fan and just laugh.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I've surprisingly, I thought I was going to be scared of the public side, but it doesn't seem to be TCU.
Well, that early money could be smart. Early money could be smart.
Not the money. I'm talking about what
the bets.
We're seeing on the Twitter.
Hey Trent, you know anybody who's got any Kansas State drip that I could borrow for the weekend? Let me know. Jovan, you as well. Okay.
Yeah.
We've got a basketball game on right now. Lipscomb is holding on. They're holding on for dear life. Chad, you guys didn't see it behind the scenes, but there's a BTL battle over this day game. It was fierce. Not really. Yeah. I like Lipscomb. He liked Navy. Ended up just staying off. But there's some games. There's some games today that we can bet on. There's some games today that we can enjoy and we can watch. There's some good games today. There's NBA. There's NHL. But most importantly, there's college basketball. Okay? We're moving. We're grooving. We're hitting bets left and right. We bounced back yesterday with the squad ride. Great pick, chat. Jovan, we had a very, very quick BTL yesterday for about a half hour. Got a winner, got out. Perfect execution.
Way to do it.
We got the Gen squad coming in hot. What's up, boys? How we doing? What's the Gen's POD? Somebody let me know. What's the play that he said today that he was like, oh my God, this makes no sense. I got to hammer it. What was that play?
I know he's on. I was hanging out there in a little bit. I know we're pretty aligned on the ice today.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm happy to hear what you got on the ice. Obviously down to tail. Shout out the Sharks last night. Sure they can. Yeah. They stopped the run and flow of piss on ice. I think I lost like 4 bets in a row on the ice until that one. So that was good. Man, there's got to be some good games. Let's hope some sharp lines, NBA, NHL. And then there's some college basketball games we got to talk about. There's an insanely good TCU game tonight. I hope you're going. TCU Providence tonight. Are you kidding me? The mortal enemy comes into town. You got to go to that. So we're definitely going to talk about that. 100%. You better be screaming your fucking heart out, making sure that crowd hears you. All right. We got to make sure Providence hears you because they can literally suck a fatty. Okay. Them and Davidson are the worst absolute coin stealers. How about Davidson eating that out last night?
How about it?
How about Charlotte?
Yeah.
Talk about a game winner. My goodness. Goodness. Did you guys see this shot? I'm assuming most of you did, but my God. That was a crazy sequence. Let me see if I can pull it up for the squad real quick.
Yeah, that was wild.
If you guys didn't see this yesterday, this is how the squad ride. This is how my POD cashed. So go ahead and check this one out for size. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah, they got it.
You got it?
Biggest free throw of his young career. And it rims out. Milicic on the rebound. Open. Threadgill for the lead. Off the back iron. Another fight for the rebound. Threadgill for the win. He got it! Jackson Threadgill.
Unreal.
Dude, unfreaking real, man. That was an absolutely incredible sequence. Look, we had the points. But like I said on stream yesterday, keep the points. You don't fucking need them. And I also called it on going into OT as well. So don't know why I didn't bet that. Probably would have been plus 1,000. Maybe I'll give that a look next time. But as soon as I said it on Trent's stream, I fucking knew. I knew it was about to happen. And would you look at that? It did. But they pulled through. The squad rides are now sitting at 19-8. Look, I know it hasn't been all, sunshine and butterflies over the last week or so. That's a damn good record. You guys should be proud of yourself. Pat yourselves in the back, okay? But don't get complacent. Plenty of winners to come. Need you guys to stay sharp, okay?
Oh,
yeah. Davidson is horrendous. Yeah, it's almost like people think they're still really good from what they saw last year and don't know that they lost everybody, including their coach. And it's literally just Foster Lawyer running around his 5-foot looking ass, jacking up threes and making Steph Curry looking dimes. He's so good. I hate his guts. I hate him so much, but he's so fucking good. I will say that. He's absolutely incredible and crazy, crazy fun to watch. Not going to lie. But he's my worst enemy, and I hope that he has no success going forward. But I hope he stays healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
But that guy has stolen so many coins from me, more than the fucking IRS, man. Holy smokes. But we got him back last night. That one hit different. Wins against Davidson, they hit a little different. Okay, so let's find a winner like that today. I don't know what you want to go through first. You want to talk about the AP poll a little bit? You want to do basketball or NBA, NHL? What do you want to dive into first?
We can give some thoughts on the AP poll real quick.
Okay.
So I think we're starting to see, a lot of people want to call it overreactions, but I think we're starting to see some of the realities of some of these teams, aka UNC and Baylor, and I guess
all the big name schools that are dynasties and they're greats literally every single year. So the AP poll biasly puts them in the top 10 every single year. Then they lose a game or two, and then all the actual good teams come in around this time and they get ranked top 10.
Maybe a little bit, but I mean, with UNC, it was just more the run in the tournament. Because, I think it was realistically, they were kind of a team that's where they are now. I would say
they got hot.
Yeah, I mean, they got hot at the right time, but in the majority of that season, they're a top 20 team, I would say, at best, which is kind of where they've fallen to now. We talked about it when we were talking about your preseason rankings. I just never saw any kind of reason for UNC to be the number one team in the country or even close.
And now it made sense why they were put there. They finished in second place overall last season, I guess you could say, and returned literally everybody on their team, lost Manic, and got a better player to fill in for their spot in Pete Nance, who, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's been a little shaky to start off.
Yep.
But on paper, they should be stacked. And yeah, recency bias rules all. You know that UNC team in the middle of ACC play. If somebody would have told you they'd be going to the national championship, you'd laugh in their fucking face, right? But it's all about who gets hot. So I get why they were put at number one. I still think they're really good. There's a game tonight that they play in that I want to talk about because I think that it might be time to buy back on UNC, but maybe it's too early. We'll get to that later. Let's talk about the AP polls. Okay? Houston, your team, the team that you called weeks ago saying this is the best team in college basketball. You think they're ready to be ranked number one? You think they deserve it? I do.
I think they've been easily the most consistent team. Now it's tough to say that because they're, out of those top teams, they've pretty easily played the weakest schedule, I would say. Yep. So I want to see them have a lot of these more challenging games like that. I think they played Alabama in a week, maybe a week and a half. I think that's going to be a game for me. That's a serious indicator because it's going to make them kind of win a different way. And I will say it was a little alarming to see their game against Kent State, which Kent State's a very solid team, but that was a really weird game. Was it 40, 48, 49, 44, which is it's good and bad. I think it's good to see them have to win a different way with their defense. Not to say they're not good, but I think they've pretty easily been the most consistent team. So I love what I'm seeing from them.
Agreed. Sasser is going to lead that team to the promised land, I think. And in a sport where coaching matters more than most, I'd say probably NFL coaching matters the most. I'd say probably college basketball matters second. They've got their guy. They've got their genius. They've got their defensive mastermind. So they're going to be just fine. We've got Texas all the way up to number 2. You got any thoughts on this? I mean, they're sitting at 5-0. They got some big wins. They probably deserve it, right? I mean, they had wins against Gonzaga. I mean, they blew out Gonzaga. Very impressive win. We were on that. And they've pretty much stomped on every single team they've played so far this season. So they probably do deserve it. Looks like all the new guys they brought in, it seems like a way better fit around Carr. So I like what I'm seeing out of Texas. I'm sure you do too. This might be the year of Texas in college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of shot makers, which it's tough for me because they're shooting the ball so well right now, which is not typically a thing that a Texas team does. That's their downfall a lot of the years. So if they can do that consistently, which I don't think they'll be able to do, but it's not like I'm not saying that they're going to go out and shoot 20% from the field every game. But one of these games in this coming week, they play Creighton and Illinois. One of those games I feel like is going to be the game where they just kind of regress back to the mean and they have a little trouble shooting the ball. Where that's going to come, I don't know. It's probably somewhere in those games, but they're definitely justified up there too.
Okay. UVA is sitting at 3. I mean, what a game that was last night. Holy smokes, man. That was absolutely incredible. Shout out Michigan. Good teams win, great teams cover. But this UVA team looks incredible. I mean, I hate to say it as a Virginia Tech guy. Tony Bennett, he's done it again. That son of a bitch. This team is filled with, 3 or 4 graduate seniors, including piece of shit Kihei Clark, who maybe is the biggest scum to walk this earth. But the guy can play some ball, and he's the leader of that team. God, he's such a piece of shit. But he's leading that team, and they've got, Vanderplas and a couple other old-ass dudes as well, mixed in with, Gardner's their best scorer, in my opinion. And then they've got a couple, really young guys as well to fill in. This team is good. This team was well coached. This is your, typical UVA team that plays a heck of a defense. But, hey, I've been impressed by their offense. And I really never say that about UVA. So they are, I mean, I had them pretty high in my, preseason rankings, higher than most, but not this fucking high. I don't think anybody expected this. They deserve it, though.
Yeah, 100%. Right? They looked fantastic. They've, usually they're a pretty one-dimensional team. They've been scoring so many different ways. So many different ways. Scoring. Yeah. Demolished. That Baylor game, I mean, that was honestly more impressive than anyone they've had because it was a lot more dominant, I think, than the score indicated. Not to say that I think Baylor is that good, but they did it there too. So they're going to be a serious problem. And Baylor is going to be a serious problem in the other way.
Yeah. Krabs, shout outs. Ranking Arizona outside his top 20. Hey, nobody's perfect. Waffle House. Nobody's perfect. I did have Creighton pretty high, and they're now in the top 10 too. We'll get to them. But Arizona already up to 4 after their start. Do they deserve being up to 4? I mean, they had a big win against San Diego State, who absolutely melted. They had a big win against a really good Creighton team. They had a big win against Cincinnati. That's not an easy game either. They played a really decent Southern team as well earlier this season too, and a much improved Nichols team, and they beat the fuck out of those schools too, as they should. But they've taken care of business all year. What are your thoughts on this Arizona squads? We know they don't play like a defense, but man, are they big, and man, they can score. And that Kirk kid is pretty damn good too. So you think they deserve to be sitting at number 4?
They do. I mean, their defense certainly worries me because I don't think that's going to translate, especially to games on the road. I think I don't believe they have any road games before conference play. I think conference play starts up soon for the Pac-12 too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them lose some very, surprising games when they go on the road against kind of these mid-tier Pac-12 teams. I think that's where they're going to run into problems, but certainly they've shown so far they can hang with anybody, they can score with anybody. So fine with them too.
Okay. And then we've got Purdue, who made a serious climb as well to round out the top 5. I mean, they look like they really have not even lost a step. Losing their star point guard of the league this past year. Looks like Edey is just getting better every season. Fucking hate that guy too. He's like a robot.
Yeah, he's polished.
he's hitting his free throws, and he's really annoying and really good and dominating and boring to watch, but good and wins and hits his free throws. So got to respect it. They've beaten Duke. They've beaten Gonzaga. They beat a good West Virginia team. They beat a good Marquette team. They're balling. And they've got Florida State tonight. I'm sure they'll take care of business there too. Purdue, they deserve to be here too. I mean, biggest jump 19 spots in the AP poll, but they deserve it. They have some huge wins, and they look incredible.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick any team that was a little bit of an overreaction, it would probably be them. Not in the sense that they don't deserve it, but like one of these games against some of these bigger teams, there's going to be a team that I don't want to say shuts down Edie, but at least makes somebody else beat them primarily because they haven't had anybody do that yet. So that's going to happen once they get into Big Ten play. I don't believe they have any challenges in non-con up until that point that are going to make them kind of win the game on the perimeter, but it's going to happen eventually. And I don't know if I trust that team to win like that yet. So, I mean, they did it against Duke, but they didn't really have to. So we'll see. I think they're probably the slight overreaction team.
Okay, that's fair. And we're not going to go over every single team in this because that would take probably 4 hours. But any other thoughts on some of these teams, 6 through 10? No free ads. I'm not trying to show this sorry ass fucking sportsbook ad that keeps popping up. But any thoughts on, 6 through 10 here with Baylor? Who, gosh, man, who would have thought that Baylor might be a spec fraudulent? Not I. They're sitting here, with a loss. Two losses after they got stomped by Marquette last night. So 2 losses already. They've had a tough non-conference schedule to start the year, but 2 bad losses.
Yeah, thoughts? And if I had to pick any of this 6 through 10 to kind of go through, I'd say drop them further. And it's not it's not an overreaction to what happened last night because I do think I kind of saw that coming. We talked about that, I think, the day before it happened, but this team is just a lot of the problems that we talked about going into the season are showing themselves pretty early. Like I love their backcourt. Their backcourt's very talented. They can score, but at the end of the day, those guys are role players and they're filling their spots in the offense just fine. But when they don't have that kind of central piece like a James Akinjo that they had last year, it's not the same offense. And when you talk about that, it's because they used to play complementary ball with a big man, and big man's usually never been their strength anyway. But this year, they're especially thin at that position. So it's a problem for them. They have no big man play. The perimeter defense is not the same perimeter defense that they've been able to, rely on. They don't have really this guy that can handle the pressure like an Akinjo and run that offense. Because, for those who watched that game last night, Marquette was, somebody said in chat, Marquette's was full court pressing. They didn't really know how to handle it because these guys are 2 spot-up shooters playing point guard. So they're missing a lot of like the staples on that team that was making them so good, especially on defense. So they're going to be a problem. They're not going to be that same team for the rest of the year, and they're going to kind of fall into that. I don't want to say middle of the Big 12, but it's not going to be a clear-cut kind of 1 and 2 like it has the last few years.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on Creighton? UConn deserves some respect.
Yeah.
They probably deserve some respect and a shout out. Shout out Naheem Aline from BT, who's fitting like a glove in that offense. They broke their school record, most threes made in a game the other night. They look good. They look good.
UConn looks great. Look awesome.
Yeah. So good for them. Respect. Kansas dropping down a little bit. I get it. They lost. But Grady Dick is really good. Yeah. Grady Dick is really good. And then we got Indiana sitting here at 10. Any thoughts on this grouping? 10 to 16. Any of these teams you've been really impressed with? Any of these teams you've been disappointed in? I'll start it off. I know Bama has a loss, but this Bama team is really fucking good. And Nate Oates, if he can get these Bulls locked in, and if some of these younger guys can not absolutely shit the bed towards the end of the game in meaningful situations, cough, cough, Brandon Miller, this team is going to be a serious issue. They have everything. And they had an impressive win the other night for us in double or triple OT. That was nuts. Shout out Bama. They look good.
Yeah, 100%. They look great, and they're, it doesn't seem like it, especially like with the score of that triple or quadruple overtime game it was.
Yeah.
They're defending a whole lot better than they have these past couple of years. So that's a big plus for them if they can win like that. That's awesome. I would say I've been pretty impressed with a lot of these teams, like up to Gonzaga. But I mean, Arkansas looks great without obviously a centerpiece of their team playing right now. Indiana, I would say I'm encouraged by, but a little weary. I want to see what they do tonight because they're, another one of those teams that's played an absolutely horrendous schedule. So we'll see how they come out tonight. I do think that they come out and win that game tonight. It'll be a statement game, especially if they can really put it to UNC. But a lot of these teams have looked good. So I'm encouraged about a lot of these teams true and true.
Okay. Tennessee with Vescovi leading the way too. The veteran sharpshooter. Yep. They're good as well. Very well coached team, a lot of old guys, not a lot of one and dones. So I've got to respect that. Gonzaga, if they were any other team, they wouldn't be still here at 14. They'd probably be 24. But I guess they've earned that respect over the last couple of years. I don't know. Here's the teams that I was talking about earlier. Here's the teams that literally only get ranked in the top 10 because of their names, and then they lose a couple games early on, and now they're down to the bottom of the barrel. We got Duke, UNC, Kentucky, Michigan State, UCLA. Maryland's actually been very, very impressive. They're the only impressive bunch of this group, to be honest with you. Iowa State too, but everyone else is just an absolute shit show, dumpster fire. Will these teams be okay? Yeah, I think these teams will be just fine. I think a team like Duke is going to be really fucking good in the second half as well. When their young guys get their feet under them. I mean, they've got that Filipowski kid who I think is going to be one of the best players in college basketball come the end of the season. So they're going to be just fine. Michigan State, I didn't even really think was that good from the rip. But they earned getting ranked after a big Gonzaga win, whatever. Maryland, though. Maybe it was the coach. Maybe it was Mark Turgeon. Because they've gotten rid of him, brought in this new guy, and brought in a transfer from Georgetown, and they look absolutely incredible, dude. They look really fucking good. They're undefeated. I'm pretty sure they're undefeated ATS. Maybe have one loss, but shout out UMD, the Terps. The Terps should be good every year. The amount of talent in the DMV for football and basketball, like that school should be good at sports. And if they're not, it's gotta be, the guys running the show. So new coach, it's been working. Watch out for the Terps.
Yeah,
straight up.
100%.
And when they're good, their students actually come out of the fucking woodworks and go to the games. Fucking nerds. They do go to the games, though. They won't go to football games, but they'll go to basketball games.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we've got absolute poverty looking me right in the eyes right here with San Diego State. Not even going to worry about talking about these teams. Fuck them. All right.
We had number one receiving votes.
Hey, he's back.
Damian Ball is back too, which is huge. He's playing tonight.
Look who's got one vote. Sure they can. Don't let the Hokies get hot.
Don't let them.
All right. Well, that's enough. That's enough college basketball fun for one day. Let's cut the shit and let's start talking about some bets. Okay. You want to talk about NBA real quick? Get it over with, and we can move on. Is there anything you even like?
Yeah, there's nothing for me in NBA. I haven't been able to dive too deep into it.
Okay.
Might as well just get into some college basketball while we're here.
Shout out the Mavs. Yeah, we can. Shout out the Mavs last night, by the way. Absolutely incredible. But yeah, nothing really catching my eye too much. Maybe your Heat getting 9 points against Boston, but that might be a little bit of a trap. Maybe Minnesota getting 2.5 against Memphis, but I don't really want to bet on that poverty-ass Minnesota team. They're allergic to winning and playing well.
Just a bit. Those games are just always super weird too.
Yeah, a lot of games, nothing I really like. No lines that are really sticking out to me. Like, what the fuck? The only one that would probably be the Lakers, but I'm pretty sure Damen's still out, so that makes a little more sense. Let's go through college basketball. Let's go through CBBs. Let's cut the shit here. Let's talk about my favorite play real quick. Butler.
Yeah.
Butler sitting at 4-3. minus 3.5 now after opening up at a pick'em on those sites. They're minus 3.5. The steam just keeps on moving. Holy smokes. Against an undefeated Kansas State team who everyone thinks is the 95 Bulls. Look, this Kansas State team has been really freaking good so far this season. They've been very, very impressive. They had high expectations going into the season. They really did. I'll tell you what, though, this spot, this line, if you bet lines and not teams, this one absolutely screams at you off the page. And it's got to be Butler. I mean, Kansas State, look, I know they barely just squeaked out a win against LSU, but, you know, they're 4-2 ATS. Haven't really been, you know, close to losing besides that last game against LSU. Everything else, they've been looking pretty damn good. And Butler, you know, has seen better days for sure. This line makes no fucking sense, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It tells me that guys like fucking Jaden Taylor and Manny Bates are probably going to have a hell of a day. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think Butler is probably my favorite play, or you know, definitely up there in the top couple. But I don't think the line is insane. I think the movement is more telling than anything because we've seen like K-State, a lot of their lines have been short, and they've been. I mean, they're what? Oh, they opened as a 0.5 against LSU. Nevada, they're 4.5. I mean, just going down like Cal 6.5. I know Cal gets a lot of respect for no reason on some of their lines. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of these K-State lines have been short. You know, the square bettors have been all over them. They haven't really fallen yet. They've kept cashing, even if it's fluke with that Nevada game going to overtime. I think the LSU game, they really should have lost that game. It seems like it's going to come to a head tonight. And this K-State team, they're not going to deal with the size well. A lot of how they've won these games, they're a lot more physical than a lot of these teams. And sure, they still might be with kind of the perimeter guys of Butler, but Manny Bates can have a day against this team. So I think the total coming down too, it's going to be another one of those really ugly games that Butler squeaks out at the end. So I'm with you. I don't think this K-State team is that good. And if we're talking just kind of what historically happens in these challenges, right? There's going to be a couple, because the Big 12 Big East challenge. There's going to be a couple of these weird lines that are maybe seems like the wrong team is favored to a lot of people, and it's going to go one way because a lot of these challenges usually split. We're talking about the Big 12. So seems like the game where the Big East gets a win because there's not many chances for that today.
Okay. We're seeing minus 3.5s on some books now, man. This line just keeps ripping. I snagged minus 145 on the ML this morning. I think the best line you can really get right now, minus 155. I grab whatever you can. I hate to lay the juice again after what we saw with Nevada the other night when I laid the juice there too, and they ended up winning by 20, and we shouldn't have. But this game screams last possession win. This game screams overtime. This game screams 1 or 2 point game. And with this opening up at, you know, near a pick'em and all the way to minus 3.5 on some books, God forbid they win by 3. God forbid they win by 2. And then you get a bad number and you're fucking banging your head against a wall saying, why the hell did I just lay the juice and get a winner? So this is a game, you know, if I thought it was going to be a blowout, if the total was a little higher, if the total wasn't screaming down, maybe we should talk about that too, how the total's gone down 4 points in this one. I'd be more inclined to lay the minus 3.5, but this game to me screams, you know, close finish here. And I think Butler pulls it out by 1 or 2 late. And that's why I'm laying the juice. I hate to say it, but sometimes you got to do it.
Kansas State too. They're one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. So I mean, coming down the stretch, I'm not trying to worry about points against that team. That's for sure. I'll
tell you what, I can already see Manny Bates just absolutely bricking free throws like it's his job tonight. So he's going to be getting hacked left and right. Give me the ML. Do not fear the juice. Sometimes you got to embrace it. So that's my POD. All right. Absolutely love this play. It's smacking. We're 9-4 on PODs, up almost 4 units. We're going to be 10-4, up almost 5 units after tonight. Okay. So that's the PODs. Any other games that are screaming at you, catching your eye before I throw out some more options? What do you love?
Yeah, so I mean, nothing as much as Butler, I will say that, but we have a very rare copycat game today, as in a game that's already happened. We don't usually see that too much in non-conference, especially like the first game was not part of a tournament or anything. Now there's this one. So we have the game that a few of our esteemed colleagues went to with UTRGV and A&M Corpus Christi. Now we are switching locations. It's in Rio Grande Valley. First game, A&MCC was kind of I thought it was a little low of a line. They opened 6, got to up to like 11 and a half, and they ended up winning the game by over 20. And now we're seeing location switch, and this line got up to 8.5 at a point, and now it's going down to 7.5. After NMCC, like the thing is, I'm down to lean into some of these Southland teams when they go on the road because it's been a big issue for them historically. And so far it has a little bit. I know Corpus Christi's gotten a big win. They blew out Alcorn State as they should have. Then they went on their last game, tough game on the road against UTEP. Didn't really play too well. They hung in that game for a bit, but they struggled. Same thing in that really early season game against Miss State. Hung in for a bit. Absolutely collapsed in the second half. Couldn't make a shot to save their lives. So it's seeming like it's going to be another point of struggle. And it's kind of the inverse with Rio Grande Valley. They've been pretty good at home. That's where they've gotten their 2 big wins against the spread too. So it's interesting after that blowout to see this line down to 7.5, and it's kind of making me think that those trends are going to hold true in that game.
It's hard to beat a team twice. It's hard to spank a team twice. Weird that these guys are already playing for a second time this year.
Yeah, it's really, really weird. I was shocked when I said that. Not even just second time this year. This is the second time in less than 2 weeks. Yeah. So it really makes no sense.
So you're on the 7.5?
Yeah, I'm going to be on that.
How are the splits looking? Have you looked?
Let's take. I can only imagine that Corpus Christi is going to be a little public.
Looks like 60% of bets, 68% of handle on Corpus Christi spread, 83% of bets, 61% of handle on Corpus Christi ML. I think you're in a pretty good spot here, Jovan.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
Pretty damn good spot. Okay. Fucking Rio Grande, man. All right. They just played Texas too, and they got absolutely shit stomped. So
yeah, they did. And I with a lot of these games, with teams that kind of play in the style they do, I like to think about going first half. But with the way that Corpus Christi they've had these just random blow up halves, whether it's against a good team, whether it's against a bad team, just going to hope and pray we get another one of those today. Stick with the full game.
Okay. All right. Somebody in chat's bringing up a really good point here about this game, Santa Clara and Wyoming. Wyoming is already missing Graham Ike, one of the best big men in the country. And now they're missing Maldonado tonight. He didn't travel with the team. So hence why they're laying 6.5 here. I wish I got in on this one earlier. If I could have gotten Santa Clara minus 2.5, I'd be doing a backflip right now. Now you can get minus 6 at best. Is it too late? Does it make too much sense now? Or Wyoming has no one else, dude. The rest of that team below.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Like usually I would be trying to buy the bad news here with Wyoming without their guys. They just don't have any scoring options to trust. I mean, we've seen obviously the line move on the spread. I mean, the totals moved down, I think 5+ points too. It's just hard. Like I think it might be too late on Santa Clara just because I don't know what they're going to do as far as handling the pace, because I assume that it's going to be even more of an emphasis for Wyoming to slow the pace and limit the possessions because they know they can't score with really anybody without Hunter Maldonado. So it's too late for me. But again, I'm certainly not buying the bad news because I can't.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm off this game. I think it's too late. I mean, I'm doing some research. Wyoming literally doesn't have a guy who scores more than 10 points a game besides Maldonado, who's out this season. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them. They're going to have to win this game with defense straight up. And that Podzimski dude or whatever on Santa Clara, the kid who transferred from Illinois. He's been pretty fucking good for Santa Clara. He's done a really good job of filling in for what is his name? Jalen Williams, right? Who left for the NBA last year. This kid has absolutely filled in and done an incredible job. He's averaging almost 20 points a game. So it's going to be tough. Wyoming's got to win this game with defense. Not betting it. The lines move too much. If it moves to 10, I might take Wyoming, but it's not going to move to 10.
Yeah, it's not. And I would have liked the under there because it does make a lot of sense. But again, that's another one. I think I'm just too late on the number. Too significant and move too quick.
Okay. A skeptic, you can take that Notre Dame team. You can take them. You're saying they aren't good. Hey, well, why the heck are they only getting 2.5 points or 1.5 points to a ranked Michigan State team? Weird. This game has Krabs written all over it. I'm going to be honest with you. I love the Irish tonight. I'm going to be taking them. I love betting on the Irish hoops. I love betting on Mike Bray. Great coach. DC guy. Love rooting for him. Always have, always will. So maybe I'm a little biased here. And I know Michigan State is they've got some losses already, but don't overthink this one, guys. It's Michigan State, who's a ranked team and an absolutely historically, incredible program, great coach, Hall of Fame coach, coming into Notre Dame, a team where most guys are saying that this team sucks and couldn't name a single player on this squad. Well, why the hell are they only getting 1.5 points? And Michigan State is getting absolutely shit pumped with bets and money, to be honest with you. Let me pull up the accurate data real quick. 82% of bets, 76% of handle on the spread, 83% of bets, 92% of handle on that Michigan State minus 120 money line, which just seems too easy, right? A Michigan State ranked team playing a Notre Dame team that, they don't have Jarian Grant anymore. Where is Pat Connaughton lacing up some Jordans and going back out there? They don't have anybody, right? Well, I'll tell you what, man. Notre Dame is a tough place to play. Notre Dame is an underrated basketball program in school always. They always will be with Mike Bray. Mike Bray's a fucking genius, and he wants to win this game. This is a statement game against another great coach. This one means more to him than most, and he's going to want to pull off a crazy upset. And I'll tell you what, I was talking about the nerds going to the games earlier. The nerds are going to be at this game too. That's for sure.
I got a lot of friends. I can confirm that they're coming out in full force tonight.
It's a big game for them. We know Notre Dame gets up.
This too. I mean, this is kind of the story because the line is short, and not only this, but Notre Dame, they have not played anybody, and not only haven't they played anybody, the lines on these games have been very, very short, and meaning that they haven't shown them any line respect in these games. So they don't think they're very good. Vegas doesn't think they're very good. I mean, 5.5 points, lost outright, got pumped by the Bonnies. I mean, super short favorites against Youngstown State at home. It goes back to a lot of these games. So they haven't shown them line respect, and now they're doing it against a Michigan State team that's been extremely tested to this point. I mean, I'm not going to say they've looked super impressive in a lot of these games. They've kind of squeaked by themselves, but it's against much better teams and much better competition, and just overall a complete different level of talent than Notre Dame has faced. So why, with all that being said, is this line 1.5? We know why.
They're coming off a loss to a shit St. Bonaventure team.
Yeah.
This St. Bonaventure team doesn't have anyone.
A double-digit loss where they scored 51 points.
They scored 51 points. They were minus 5.5, which I would have told you that line was pretty short too against a shit St. Bonaventure team. This one reeks, man. This one reeks. And everyone keeps saying, bad team, great coach. You guys ever heard of Dane Goodwin? You guys ever watch this kid play? The super senior who came back for another year when he could have gone pro. This kid can fucking play. This kid has a game winner already under his belt against Lipscomb earlier this season. This kid can fucking play. And how about this other kid, Nate Lazarewski? I mean, this team is white as shit. Don't get me wrong. Okay. They're not going to be throwing down any crazy, awesome dunks. They're going to beat you with fundamentals and free throws. But that kid can play too. They've got some older guys in that team who want to pull off a nasty upset like this at home to get their last season started. Give me the Irish. Michigan State's getting shit hammered, and that line ain't moving a speck. If anything, it's moved from +2 to +1.5 on some books.
Yeah.
Feed me the Irish. I love Notre Dame tonight. I'm with you. Super excited. Cormac Ryan, beast. I've never heard anyone say that in my entire life, but sure. Bonzie Colson, sure. How about Zach August? You remember him?
Yeah, Zach August.
Cool lightning bolt on his hair. He was a beast.
Yeah.
He grabbed a cup of tea with the Lakers, I think, on their summer league team.
Mm-hmm.
God, I used to love that team. They had another really good center back in the day too. I can't remember his name, but it was extremely white. It was like the most Notre Dame fucking Luke Herringody, bro. That guy was a dog. But when this team had Jeremy Grant and Pat Connaughton and Zach August, they were really good, by the way. I'm not going to sit up here and talk about it so much, but that was my team growing up, college basketball wise. Notre Dame was my team. I grew up rooting for them in all sports. I know, I know it's ridiculous, whatever.
No, I mean, they're my team, especially in college basketball, because I mean TCU was my real team, but in reality, I had to sit here and watch them go 8-64 in conference play, so had to lean into somewhere else a little bit.
Damn, Demetrius Jackson, what a name! He was a stud guard for Notre Dame, beast. We could sit up here and talk about the fucking 2015 Irish. Who went to the Sweet 16, I'm pretty sure. We could sit up here and talk about them all day. We could sit up here and talk about how Pat Connaughton was a first-round pick from the Orioles and said, fuck no. He said, I want to play basketball, and he worked his ass off, and now he's a, incredibly important role player on one of the best teams in the NBA, and he's the glue guy of that team. So fucking love that guy, and you love to see a guy like that take a risk, turn down millions of dollars to play the sport that everyone around him told him no. Everyone around him told him, take the money from the Orioles. You throw 96 miles an hour. What the fuck are you doing? How are you going to keep up with these freaks in the NBA? He said, nah, I'm doing what I want to do. Fuck y'all. And he's been a bucket. So respect. He still hasn't really figured out that three. It's taken him a decade. He still hasn't really got it down. That's the one thing he's missing is that knocked. He's okay. But it's like, how has he not figured that out yet? But he's so athletic, dude. People forget he had the highest jump, highest vertical in the combine the year he got drafted, which is kind of shocking. But he was awesome. I said the same shit on Villanova. Line don't make sense. Feed me the cats. Hammer Tank. If I hit all my bets, man, I wouldn't be here, talking to your bitch ass. So I'd be on my own private islands. I don't hit 100% of my bets.
Didn't we both take Villanova in that game?
Yeah, we did take Villanova.
They covered. Comment didn't make sense. They covered by a lot. There
we go. Yeah, they did sneak cover at the end of that game. They came back. They almost won, actually. Yeah. So, kick rocks, Hammer Tank. Suck one.
Don't know what we're talking.
What do you guys use to look at percent of bets and handle? Use Pickett, use Visson, betting splits, use covers, use CBS Sports, use literally anything you can find on the internet. Okay.
Probably not CBS Sports.
Maybe don't use CBS Sports.
Yeah.
I use everything. Yeah. Okay. Matt Carroll was a Notre Dame legend. Sure. Sure. Nobody knows this. Pat Connaughton postered Nerlens Noel in AAU in high school. That's sick. Okay. Yeah. College hoops better than the NBA regular season. Yeah. It's not even close, dude. It's not even close. All right. Well, Notre Dame, we can get behind. If this Butler game wasn't going on, Notre Dame would probably be a POD. And I'm really trying not to fire off 2 PODs. So we will try. I know. We're working. Speaking of responsible, I want to nuke UMES, University of Maryland Eastern Shore today. What do you think about that?
It's just a heinous statement. Like I haven't even looked at the games. I can't say like good play, bad play, I'm on it or whatever. But just the sentence of I want to nuke UMES is a absolutely heinous statement.
I had to say that after a responsible comment. Come on.
Yeah, you didn't even say Maryland Eastern Shore. You had a chance.
Sure. Well, last time I said that, they lost by 50 when I bet on them and looked like an idiot. Yeah. Hey, don't sleep on the Shoremen. All right, that's not even their mascot. That's Washington College is the Shoremen. I don't know why I keep calling them the Shoremen. University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I'm not kidding. I want to bet on them. The line, look, they're playing Lehigh. They're playing Lehigh. They went from dog to fave. Lehigh's 4-2. Maryland Eastern Shore is 2-4. And they, by the way, they suck. Lehigh's coming off of 3 wins in a row. They've looked pretty decent, honestly. Maryland Eastern Shore just came off a game. They put up 45 points. The game before that, they were favored and they lost by 11. So they are actually, sorry, they did win and cover that game. So take that comment back. Take that comment back. They have covered 3 games in a row. So don't let the Maryland Eastern Shoremen get hot. But this line makes no sense. Lehigh's looked great this season. Lehigh's in a way better conference. Lehigh's a school that a couple people have heard of, at least. You ever heard of fucking CJ McCollum? You ever heard of him? I almost forgot his name. Jesus. He went there. Don't know a single person who's gone to University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and I'm from Maryland. I don't even know a single student who went there. So the line flip, love the money. Let's check the splits. Why not? Let's check the 4 people who have bet on this game today.
Yeah, it's gonna be like 100% because it's gonna be just you.
It's gonna be me. Yep. I'm gonna get my bet in. Should I bet this on DraftKings and watch the Vissen?
You should watch. Yeah, you should watch yourself move the splits. Yeah.
They update them every 10 minutes. They say. Also, where the fuck is this game, bro?
It might just not even be up there. They don't even put some of the extra games up there.
Get up here. Come on. Where is it at? Oh, it's up here, brother.
It is.
These splits are wild. So whoever's betting on Maryland Eastern Shore, absolutely shit nuked them. 27% of bets, 86% of handle on Eastern Shore.
You have a friend.
I do have a friend. Somebody dropped a hammer on that. It was probably fucking Gabagool.
Yeah,
just my Gabagool report. No, he doesn't bet college basketball. He doesn't have the brain capacity to fucking learn it. He only bets NBA. Soft.
Hey, stick to what he wants. Good for him.
No, it's soft. How do you not bet college basketball? It's the best fucking sport to bet on. You see that game winner last night? So you don't see that in the NBA. They don't have crazy broken plays like that turn into a game win in 3. That doesn't happen. The NBA is the worst. But yeah, give me Maryland Eastern Shore. Sure. Okay.
Sure.
You should bet on them today too.
I mean, I'll ride it. I'm down.
Hey, look, I've pitched this team before. I've dug into this team before. This program almost got shut down 2 years ago, and their coach did a hell of a job keeping these boys, keeping their mentals in check when they sent these students home during COVID for the whole fucking season. They didn't have a season. They came back, and they had a pretty impressive year last year for them. They were projected at the bottom of the standings in pretty much every single fucking poll, and they ended up okay. And they've got some older players on this team too. They're an old team. So they've got a decent coach, old team, and dog to fave. Great splits from our one better on the game. Give me the Eastern Shore. All right. And their records just make no sense. Lehigh should be, -5 in this game. I don't fucking get it. Let's keep moving. Let's keep grooving. Florida State. Florida State playing Purdue. Are you catching the fallen knife?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
That was a test.
Florida State, and they're kind of like them in Louisville. Like I'll very openly fade Louisville. I will do that kind of no matter what the line is. Florida State, I'm not as willing to just blindly fade, but I will not be betting them. I just won't.
Okay. I don't like the way the line moved to -14 to -15.5. So
I mean,
for that reason,
should get rocked.
For that reason, I'm out. What about your Horned Frogs today, man? I don't like the way that line's moving.
Yeah,
it doesn't really make sense because TCU's public today, and that line's moved a 1.5 towards Providence, which I hate.
Yeah, not thrilled with the number in this game to be real with you, but I do think just kind of the opener of 7.5, even 8 some places, which the switch was flipped very quick, and we're talking about the respect that TCU got, and because they've been really, really bad without Ball and without a couple of guys, they've kind of been resting until this game specifically. Then we saw their little tournament championship game. They were 7.5 points, 7-point underdogs since Iowa killed them, won outright, and the switches flipped very quickly to them getting their own respect in this game. So I think it's a pretty telling line. I'm not eager to bet it because I do think the number creeping back is kind of keeping me off, and I don't want to really buy the great news and Damian Ball coming back, but I am certainly not taking Providence. I'm not recommending anybody to take Providence.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Line opened up very fat. Wanted to take TCU. Now, after seeing this line move back towards Providence, 1.5 or 2 points with the money coming in on TCU, I am out. And I don't want to buy the good news for TCU. Yeah. So I'm rooting for you boys. I hate Providence. I think Providence sucks. I think this Providence team isn't good. I think TCU wins this game and covers. But with that line movement, I'm out. Okay. Unfortunately, I am out. And you said you are going to that game?
Oh, of course.
Good.
Of course. I think some of the boys maybe popping out too. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, you got to get the whole squad to go, bro. If you don't get Mikey to go to that game, I don't know. You're not doing your job. You got to get him to go.
Live, get him a live piss stream.
Sure.
See how it works.
All right. How about George Washington opening up at -2 against South Carolina? And I know George Washington is home. I might step over to this game too. It's in DC tonight. Moving from -2 to -3. George Washington is a favorite against a real school, South Carolina, that was in the Final Four a couple years ago. Are you serious? What's going on with this game? Well, I'll tell you what. I love George Washington. I love the line move. I love the way it opens. Them as a favorite against a real school. Are you kidding me? I'm going to have to bet the Colonials today. They've got this kid, James Bishop, who's actually really fucking good. Baltimore boy. Absolute stud. Stayed local in DC. And he's been dropping 20 points a game. He's really fucking good and really fun to watch. So if you guys haven't tuned into a George Washington game yet, kid's legit. Okay. And they've also got this kid, Brendan Adams from Baltimore too, who's a senior, who's an absolute dog as well. He's averaging like 15, 20 points a game too. This George Washington team is good. Slept on. That's why they open up as a favorite against South Carolina. And I think they win this game. I think their team is better. I think the public's going to be all over South Carolina as a dog against a school they haven't heard of. No, thank you. I'll be all over G-Dubs. Give me the Colonials. All right.
Yeah.
Love this bet.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I think it's clearly like, I think the right team is favored, but not in the public eye. South Carolina is not good. I think everybody knows that. But I think kind of the underrated part of the game too. I mean, they're going to George Washington, which for an SEC school to do that, first of all, they don't do that much. A lot of these even big name schools, even if they're not that good, they don't do that much. And it's often a very weird environment. A lot of weird things happen in these games. So like just talking analytics of the line and the game aside, it's one of those games that's kind of fun to be involved in. And you get an SEC school come into George Washington, they're going to be amped up. They're going to be ready. So
100%. This is their game of the year. This is their biggest game of the year. This is the game that if they somehow pull off an upset, they're going to be all over ESPN, right? They know this shit. Damn, I didn't know this Brendan Adams kid went to Calvert Hall. That's where my grandpa went. That's where like half my family went from Baltimore. That's sick.
Really?
High school in Baltimore. And then James Bishop went to fucking MSJ where my cousin went. That's so sick. These kids are good. These kids come from insanely good sports schools. And I'm sure these kids were absolute freaks growing up. And they're absolutely balling right now at George Washington. So I'll be back in the Baltimore boys tonight. I'm really excited to bet them. I might go to this fucking game. It's going to be sick. 9 o'clock, it's on TV. Hell yeah. I'm going to have to pull a buzz and make a call. See if they got any courtside seats.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good one. Fuck yeah. Okay. Another weird local school to me, George Mason. George Mason opening up as a favorite against a really good Hofstra team that was good last season. They returned a lot of their guys, a lot of hype around this Hofstra Pride team. And George Mason, who has a losing record, opened up as a favorite in this spot I thought that was a little weird. I don't like the way the line moved. A spec towards Hofstra, but Hofstra's getting the bets too. So I'm not really surprised to see that. But are you taking a stab at George Mason, a very well coached, underrated team, against this stacked Hofstra roster? What do you think? And I think this line is very telling.
Yeah, I thought so at first too. Not that I don't still think it's very telling. It's just I'm less enthused about it. But I mean, just looking at some of Hofstra's games, I mean, they generally haven't been getting much line respect, regardless of the outcome of a lot of these games. And I do think that George Mason is the better team realistically, and the money line splits are what kind of tipped me over for this game, because we see a lot of more bets on the spread for Hofstra, but the money line, George Mason money line, is getting nuked. So wow. I think it's just kind of evening out any split movement or anything for that game. So I do think it's a decent spot for them, but I'm not running to take it because of those things.
Yeah, and it's just not a good matchup for Hofstra, a really small team that at times, I mean, they're running 4 guards. The majority of the game, they have this Estrada kid who's very good. Don't get me wrong, the senior, number 1. He's going to go off tonight. He's going to get his. He averages like 20 points a game. So he's going to have a day. He actually was at one point at Oregon. Kid's good.
Yeah.
Kid's good. He is going to be the main guy for Hofstra, but you look over at George Mason. George Mason is not a small team. And their best player is this Odoro kid. I don't know if you remember him from last season. He's got that crazy hair. He's a menace in the paint. He's good. I think this is a bad matchup for Hofstra, and that's probably why this line opened up like this. But I don't like the way it's moved from, +4 to +3 on some books. It's sketching me out a little bit.
I will say with George Mason too, like my worry whenever I bet them, I mean, I don't think I bet them this year, but I bet against them quite a few times in these really short lines. They go on cold stretches of, 5+ minutes every game. So like if you're in a situation where, they're comfortably up, or at least comfortably it seems, take a live bet against them, to be real with you. Because we saw it in the Boston College game, which I was a part of, Boston College, and that one. Belmont game, same thing. Absolutely insane ending to that game. I mean, they did it in that Buffalo game. They lost outright as like 7-point favorites. It's happened repeatedly. So this team, their offense worries me as far as betting on them consistently, especially with a Hofstra team that's going to push the tempo a little bit more than like a Boston College or a Belmont or any of those teams they've played.
Okay. All right. Maybe a stay away spots. I agree with Jeff in chats. Way too much money on the ML, like you said too, Jovan. And that line's moving the other way. So maybe we stay away from that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Ohio State Duke. Wish I had a side in this one I liked. I don't. 25 ranked Ohio State, 17 ranked Duke. Duke's getting some respect here at home, as they probably should. They're -5.5, opened up -4.5-ish. Duke's getting more bets. Shocker. Maybe that's why the line's moved here. I don't know what's sharp, what's not on the sides. I do like the under in the game, though. I like the way it's moving. This is a game on TV, on ESPN. Everyone's going to be watching it, looking for points, right? And we're seeing Ohio State. I mean, they've scored over 80 points their last couple games here, and we know this Duke team is absolutely stacked offensively. So I feel like the initial thought process of this game is over. And seeing it open in the 130s, I thought was a little weird, and seeing it move down, I thought was a little weird. I thought this would open up at 140 for a total. It opened up at -1 or at 136.5-ish, 137, and down to 135 on a lot of books. I really like the under. And it's just a bonus that this game's on TV with some, good big name schools. I think the over is the square inclination here. Give me the under.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that. I probably don't want to get involved in that game, but I think that's a very fair angle because, I mean, looking at Duke, I mean, their offense has been, I don't want to say terrible, but it certainly hasn't been impressive for a lot of these games. And, the line's moving in their favor too, up to 5.5. I think it opened 4.5. So that tells me, along with the total, that they're going to dictate the tempo of this game a little bit. which has been kind of what Ohio State has leaned on, which is why a lot of their games have been so high scoring. So I don't hate that under at all. I think it is a little bit of a low opener, and maybe Duke controls this one for a bit.
Does this tickle your fancy too? I'm looking at the over, and it's got 83% of bets and 67% of the handle on that over, and it's gone down about 2 points. So
yeah, that's perking me up a little bit. Not gonna lie, I can blind it.
Okay. How about New Mexico State? Mexico State's a team that I was very high on going into the season. They've looked like shit. Not going to sugarcoat it. They've had some tough games to start the season, but they just have not looked good. They just got stomped by fucking Cal Irvine, where they lost by 17 points when they were barely an underdog. Now they're going back home, and they opened up -4.5 against a 5-1 UTEP team that, in my eyes, has been playing better than they actually are. This team's won 4 games in a row. But I really don't like this UTEP team. I'm waiting for this New Mexico State team to kind of wake up and play like I expected them to in the beginning of the season. And I like them today. I don't know if I'm going to lay the juice on the ML or take the spreads, but I want to take something on New Mexico State here. Do you have any thoughts on this game?
I mean, this is another copycat game because this game's already happened too. And it was a pretty close game throughout that one that UTEP pulled out in the end. And I think they covered because it was a very short line. So, I mean, seeing them open, 4.5 is interesting. I think obviously a lot of it, I'd say, has to do with the location change because the first game was, I don't know, it was at UTEP or there was a neutral site game, but UTEP was the home team. Now they're going to New Mexico. I just don't know what to make of this New Mexico State team because they are the team that's kind of, they have that name because of what they've done previous years and what they've done in the tournament. This UTEP team is a very good team, a very tough team, but I don't know if Vegas really respects them as much as kind of maybe we do. So it's a tough one. I don't know if I want to get involved in this one because I do think it's going to be kind of similar to that first game where it's very close and maybe this game's decided by free throws. So I'm going to go with New Mexico State. I would probably not mess around with the points.
Yes, and if the line doesn't move up to 5, or if it moves back, I probably won't be on it, to be honest with you. But dude, this team is just they're too good. I'm sorry, they're too good to be sitting at 2-2 at this time of the season. In my eyes, like they're about to kick up. They have way too much talent on this team. They're a well-coached team. I mean, they have Xavier Pinson on their squad leading it. The senior point guard who has kind of underperformed his whole career, but he's got to get it going against these mid-majors now, right? He has no excuse.
With that team too, I mean, I don't want to play like kind of the emotional card, but like the whole shooting incident that happened, that's going to mess with the locker room. So it's kind of tough to back a team after something like that happens. Like, not just back them like in the next week or so as like we are now, but throughout the whole season. Because I mean, obviously you lose guys on the team, but it's hard to see how a team gels like after that. So it's tough.
It's facts, man. Those kids might want to just fucking go home.
I mean, they very well could.
And if they think that, honestly, more power to them. Like they can do whatever the hell they want after that stuff. But I might have to lay the juice here. I'm sorry. Like these guys have already played this season. UTEP won by 3. Now we turn around, we flip venues, and now New Mexico is, the favorite here. I thought it would at least be closer to a pick 'em. I think them opening up at 4.5 is a speck longer than I thought. A speck. But we know how hard it is to beat a team twice, especially when you play within, a week and a half. It's hard as shit. All right. And a good coach, New Mexico State's coach, he gets paid the big bucks to make adjustments and come back and win that second game. He's expected to do that, right? That's his fucking job. So if you can't do that, it's on him. But I really don't know how I don't play New Mexico State here in some way. Okay. What happens when Vandy wins tonight? Jeff is saying. I like Vanderbilt here. I do. Am I ready to get hurt again by this Vandy team? Or are we getting good Vandy? Are we getting bad Vandy? I don't fucking know. but I love the way the line has moved. I was high on this Vanderbilt team going into the season, but they have been all over the place, man. They look like, the Warriors one day, and they look like the freaking Wizards the next. All over the place. This VCU team has not covered yet. They have not covered yet. All right, Trent. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Let's chill out.
Keep those giggles to yourself, brother. Maybe you could talk to someone about that.
He's got to be sipping White Claws.
Don't talk to me. He's sipping some Chardonnay during the day, some white wine maybe.
Got the wine cooler going.
All right. VCU hasn't covered yet this season. I don't know if I want to catch the falling knife here and try to continue to fade that. They got to cover at some point. The books are going to adjust, but I like Vanderbilt in the spots. Do you like anything in this game? I'm sure you like the movements.
Yeah, I like the move, like the splits. So if I had to take a play in this game, it would be Vandy, but it's not a game I'm trying to get involved in. Both these teams have just been so not even just lackluster, but in game, these are two very inconsistent teams. So like one of these teams in this game, I can tell you, is going to go on a large scoring drought. If it's not both of them at the same time, it's just going to be one of those teams, one of those games, because one of these teams, both these teams, big turnover issues, big shooting slumps. It's going to happen. I don't need to get involved, but I don't think Vandy play is a bad idea.
Yeah, I like Vandy here, but I'm definitely worried about the consistency issues. And I'm also worried about, how are the books really valuing this VCU team who we've seen pull off crazy magic in the past, but, do they really have any dogs on this team? I'm really not impressed with them. I thought they had a good chance last year to make a run. And I've not really been impressed with what I saw this season. You look over at Vanderbilt, they got four guys, averaging over 10 points, over 11 points. They really kind of don't have a star. They just had like a pretty decent squad and a pretty good coach, in my opinion. So this is tough. Like, what is the perception of this game, do you think? Like, VCU, we know, has been a good basketball school in years past, but it's Virginia Commonwealth University. Like, people don't even fucking know that it's a Virginia school, probably, unless I say it. And Vanderbilt's a big name school, but their sports teams always suck, right? So this one, it sketches me out for sure, but I definitely lean Vanderbilt, but it might be too late with this one moving to plus 1.5 already. Reminds me a little bit of Wichita State last night, who should have covered, but didn't. Piece of shit.
Yeah, keep me away here. This VCU team is bad. Haven't covered in quite a few games. Took a little buzzer beater, I think, to beat Kennesaw State.
Yeah.
Last game was a 12-point favorite. Two bad teams.
Yep. All right. How about St. Mary's College, Jovan? St. Mary's College coming off a loss. And this team, talk about a team getting slurped. St. Mary's is getting slurped like no other.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either. I don't either, but they're coming off a loss where they were minus 10.5 to Washington. And they're playing an undefeated New Mexico team that has, like I just said, they haven't fucking lost a game all year, and they're absolutely stomping on these no-name schools that they've been playing. They haven't played anybody really good. They've literally played DoorDash drivers all their games this season. Best school they've played is their guy Ben Carey's school, Northern Colorado. That's kind of sad. So they haven't played literally anyone. St. Mary's is coming off a bad loss, but they're still laying 9.5 to an undefeated team. This is tough. I like St. Mary's.
I don't, but I'm not gonna bet New Mexico. I just my thing is, I think St. Mary's is very overrated, so I think they're getting more respect than they should pretty much every single spread that you look at, every game that they play. So it's is it a little concerning that they're still this big of favorites coming off of that loss? Maybe a little bit, but it's also just because I think Vegas and people think this team is a lot better than they actually are. Because they have a lot of guys returning. They have a lot of guys who have been in the system, playing the system. So theoretically, on paper, they should be good. But I think this they have too much respect. I think New Mexico, they haven't done anything for quite a couple of years now. So I think they're a little better than that. It's a team that's probably not getting respect either. So, I mean, I would probably lean their side. That's why I think we've seen the line come down a point or so. But I'm not going to get involved in this one either. It's just a strange game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. New Mexico is a public dog.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
They're a public dog. They're getting 70% of bets, 80% of handle on that spread. People are betting them. Them. Not fine. Me.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm St. Mary's or no play for me, and I don't know if I'm even going to bet St. Mary's. Let's see what happens with this line throughout the day. But it sure as hell might be St. Mary's. It sure as hell might be. This game's at 10 o'clock Eastern time. We got some time. We got some time.
I want to see how that line moves. If it starts moving towards New Mexico, I could be a little persuaded to hop in.
Okay.
So the thing too is, like, I think regardless of how this game plays out in the end, I think it's going to be a close game for a long stretch of the game. And like with Mashburn and their guard play, they're going to be able to handle the pressure of St. Mary's, and St. Mary's is not going to be able to kind of score to blow them out, I think, at least early in the game. And they can't shoot free throws either, which was super weird. I saw somebody talking about that, but I don't know. We'll see. I want to see how this moves.
Okay. Any other games that I missed?
None that I have on my radar for college basketball, but on the ice, I mean, I will be taking Blackhawks plus 1.5. 100%.
What do you like about them?
Well, so, and shout out to Jen. I've usually been one to kind of go for the money line, but I've looked at this like kind of specific trend of the plus 1.5. So in baseball, like we were looking at kind of that sweet spot between 190 and minus 200, which in hockey it was for a little bit of the year, and now it's kind of moved a little bit. The range that I've been looking at is between like minus 200 and minus 235, 240, kind of subjective, kind of relative, whatever you want to call it. But a lot of these teams have just not been covering the puck line. I mean, I've looked at all of the games since Thanksgiving that have fell into this kind of line little gap here. They've covered the puck line in 1 of 9. So it's a trend that I've been kind of secretly keeping my eyes on and looking to ride it, because I've been on some of these teams too, just because of the spot, not even because of the number. But in this spot, I mean, the Oilers have obviously been the much better team. I would have expected this line to keep moving in their favor as hard as they're getting hit with the money and the bets. But it really hasn't. It's kind of stayed put, even tracked a little back after the initial jump up to 220. It's come down to, 215-ish a lot of places. So it's one that I'll be on for sure. Give me them in a goal and a half.
I mean, they haven't won a game. They haven't won a game in over 2 weeks, Jovan.
Yeah. Music to my
ears. I was the guy. I thought you were the guy that's supposed to tell me not to catch the falling knife. I thought that was your job.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different in hockey. I can catch the falling knife with certain teams. It's more like with hockey, I'm very cool with catching the falling knife and buying into bad teams.
Okay.
Just not fading like a Bruins or a Devils all the time, or even like the Knights, I guess, fall into some of that too.
Okay.
Yeah, and this was last night too. Flyers haven't won a game since World War II, I'm pretty sure, and this was a game that was in that same little price range of like minus 210. I think the Islanders were. They were like the classic, don't overthink it. They're so much better, and came to a head.
Okay. And it doesn't scare you that Edmonton, crossed that minus 200 line?
Well, no, because it's kind of shifted, like I was talking about. So it used to be, I don't want to say used to be, but I was looking at kind of the same thing that we saw in baseball with hockey, and it's kind of evolved. So like baseball was like 190 to 200, and it's seeming like, at least for the puck line, it's a bigger range for hockey that's like 200 to 235, 240. Okay. So they're firmly like in the middle of this right now.
Okay. All right. That looks like in Ottawa, the line is moving towards them. Looks like in Detroit, that line is moving towards Buffalo, a spec. So you like anything in those games? Those are two shittier teams. I'm surprised to see the line moving their way.
That Rangers one feels overly obvious. I'm not gonna lie, because I think I'm pretty sure Igor is not in net tonight, and I can't tell you how many times we've been talking about the Rangers, and I always see the same exact comment that Halak, who's the backup goalie, is an empty net. That same exact phrase I've heard a million times, seen a million times. So it seems a little too obvious, especially because I think in these kind of short underdog games, sends are always a popular play. Now, I don't think anybody's going to be running to fade the Rangers, but this is one where I can't do it. It seems a little overly obvious. The Sens have been playing okay these last couple games too. The Rangers haven't been impressing too many people. I mean, I know we hear Dejan talk about all the time in his Rangers fandom how they're super soft and they can't do anything. They've lost 3 in a row. Granted, Devils and Oilers, but they also lost a game to the Ducks in there. Very bad loss. So not running to fade them, 100%.
Okay. How about Buffalo? How about the Sabres on the roads moving from, plus 115, plus 120-ish to, plus 112, plus 110-ish with all the money coming in on Detroit, by the way.
Yeah, I could be a little more inclined for that one. I mean, the Red Wings, I'm not sure if he's in net. I haven't looked, but they've been kind of superhuman, at least, with Husso and net. Husso has been really, really good for them. So if there's a spot that seems kind of like I don't want to say obvious dog situation, but one that's a little more glaring than some of the other ones, I'd probably lean to the Sabres.
Okay. All right. Let me check the clock real quick. Yeah, about that time. Squad Rat.
Needle dick in net. Okay. A little less, that.
Great.
But.
Great. Needle dick in that for Buffalo.
Yeah, like the a little less then, but
okay. All right.
Still like the move.
Well, let's give the people some options. All right. I think we put in that Blackhawks plus 1.5 bet that you like.
Yep.
I think we put in Butler ML.
Yep.
I think we put in Notre Dame.
Yep.
There's still twos hanging around or no?
Twos?
For Notre Dame or no?
Can take a look real quick. Don't believe so.
Any twos floating around over there?
There's a couple. I see DK's hanging a 2.
Is it more 1.5 so?
Yeah, definitely more 1.5s.
All right. Should we go with that or you want to go with the ML?
We can take the 1.5.
We'll go with that. You want to go with George Washington?
Yeah, we can put George Washington in there.
Okay. You want to take that spread or ML?
I mean, I don't want to overflow with kind of juicy MLs, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like with GW, we could be fine. Just taking the points.
Okay. Yeah, I like the move from 2 to 3 as well. Let's hop on while we still can. Let's hop on while we still can. Are you seeing more 2.5s or 3s for G Dubs?
See a lot of 2.5.
A lot of 2.5s?
A lot of 2.5, yeah.
All right, let's roll with that. Let's go with that. One more play. Anything else that I missed? Anything else you like?
I mean, I like UTRGV.
Yes.
7.5.
Yes. All right, that's what we got. All right. We've got the Blackhawks plus 1.5. We've got Butler, ML, my POD. We've got Notre Dame plus 1.5. We've got George Washington minus 2.5. And we've got Rio Grande Valley, also known as TRGV, plus 7.5. Jovan, is that a POD for the kid, or is that just your favorite play as of right now? Or what are we?
I mean, to be honest, my favorite play was probably Butler, but I'm not just gonna ride your POD as my own. It's definitely in there. We'll see how it moves. I'll be tweeting about it today. I got time.
Okay. Well, plenty of room on the Butler wagon. Hop aboard. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna I don't know. We all think the same. I think it's weird that everyone bitches about, when people have the same plays as us or same plays as me or whatever. I think it's ridiculous. It's like when we all think like this, we're going to be on the same side more often than not. And those bets are going to hit more often than not. So let's just keep rolling and be a cohesive unit because that's how we beat the books, not individually. If you try to beat the books individually, it's just impossible. So got to keep moving, got to keep grooving. I voted for Butler. It's my favorite play of the day. Love Notre Dame as well. Love all these plays. Love all these plays. These plays are all smacking. They're all smacking. They're all smacking. Okay. Vote for what you want. Man, I guess that Notre Dame speech was pretty good because people are voting for them. People are voting for them. Bro, we were getting people juiced up about Notre Dame, I think. It's good.
Yeah, we were reminiscing about some of the all-time GOATs. I mean, people
I loved that program, man. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And when they lost to, was it Kentucky? They lost to in the Sweet 16 with Connaughton and Jeremy Grant or Durant Grant. Might have been the Elite Eight. I think it was Sweet 16.
It's one of them.
You guys are some sickos for voting for ND. You're right, John. But you know what? They're smart sickos.
Yeah, I mean, nothing can be as sick as this. Shout out to you.
You win sickest play of the day.
I respect you for that.
Sure. Incredible. You like this shirt, by the way? You see this thing?
Oh, my God.
Fuck it, Terry's down there somewhere.
It's the truth.
Oh, man. Got to support the boy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. If you guys want to cop one, he's got it in his bio everywhere, but I know you guys aren't all Commanders fans. Got to support the boy, though. It's really sad to hear around the area. Some of these reporters are like, it's time to put Wentz back in. I'm like, you guys just don't get sports. Like, you never played. Or if you played, you were never the glue guy or never, a leader or a team player. You were a me guy because you just don't get it. If you can't look at that team and just tell that it's night and day when little Heineke goes out there compared to Wentz, it's like not even the same team around. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Anybody who thinks Wentz should be playing again right now, and it really doesn't have to do with anything of like if you think he's better or not. The team is just playing so well right now. If you think that Wentz should be behind center right now, you know nothing.
God, it should have been Maryland Eastern Shore. That's what we should have played. That's what we should have made. But we've got the squad ride, ladies and gents. Go Irish, go. Mike Bray. He's going to take us home. All right? Have no fear. All right? Mike Bray is a fan of coins. All right? And you know who else is going to be a fan of our coins tonight? Dane Goodwin. All right? Remember the name. Remember the name. He's going to take us to the promised land tonight. All right, chat? Hope you guys enjoyed the app. Yeah, Eastern Shore can be the unofficial squad ride. Okay, Money Man? That's a sneak squad ride. All right, only the real ones know. Okay? ND is currently +2 at -110 on DraftKings. Go ahead and take that then. Sure you can.
Get whatever number you can get.
But yeah, appreciate you guys. Happy Wednesday. Let's keep moving. Let's keep hitting bets. College basketball, it's our best sport. Okay, we're going to keep cooking. We're going to keep giving out winners. Plain and simple. But don't let the Blackhawks get hot tonight. All right?
Don't let them
get hot. Have fun at TCU game tonight. Please make Mikey go and sit through that terrible Providence loss tonight. Please.
Oh, yeah. We'll be seeing
I wish all Providence fans pain. Okay? And I wish your Horned Frogs the best. All right, Jovan? Yeah. Until Saturday, and then I'll be their biggest enemy. Okay?
Yeah, enough. give me pistols tonight and just absolutely drowning on Saturday.
Sure. Yep, it's coming. Chat, Notre Dame, +1.5, +2. Lock that shit in. Shit's smacking.